What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so glad you're here today for a video all about what it's like to have a vision as a Christian. If you're new to my channel, like I said, my name is Anna Willemstein, and I would love to have you subscribe. I make videos all about living your life as a Christian girl or a Christian woman, but let's just go ahead and get into this topic. So what's it like to have a Christian vision? When I was younger, the idea of having a vision kind of freaked me out, like a lot. I had this weird preconceived idea that having a vision was going to be in the middle of like a revival service, and I would be weeping, and then suddenly there would be strange lights, and I would see a picture outside of my body, like in front of my face somewhere, that I would like be able to pass my hand through, and it would be like this weird like supernatural movie experience. That's not what having a vision is like, at least not in my personal experience. I had my first vision as a Christian when I was about 20, 21 years old. I'm not sure of the exact date. I could probably look in my journals and find out, but I was in my early 20s. And the interesting thing is that God had to point it out to me afterwards. Anna, that was a vision. That was what you were like feeling a little bit nervous about experiencing. So I wanted to say really quickly, there is scriptural basis, obviously, for having visions. Daniel in the Bible, he had visions. Daniel chapter, I believe, 8 talks about, and Daniel 10, but Daniel 8, in Daniel chapter 8, Daniel has a vision, and then the second half of that chapter, he has an interpretation of the vision. So that's kind of like a biblical format for having a vision as a follower of God. He obviously wasn't a Christian yet because it was the Old Testament, and Jesus hadn't come and made a way for salvation yet, but he was following God, the one true living God, and he experienced a vision. In the New Testament, Peter had a vision, John had visions, different people had visions. There is a biblical standard for having a vision as a Christian in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And if you want to read more about that, you can read about it in especially Acts chapter 2, where Peter explains that the people of God are going to experience supernatural dreams and visions, and they're going to prophesy. And that was all coming from a prophecy in Joel chapter 2 in the Old Testament. So that's the biblical foundation for it. So I've been doing this series on my channel where I talk about pretty much Christian dating advice for single women. So when I was like 20 or 21, I was starting to spend a lot of time with my future husband. And at the time, I didn't know he was my future husband. And I was at this place in life where I was a part of a church where they had been cautioning us as single women, hey, you want to make sure that you don't set up any like idols in your heart. Like, you don't want to date a guy or like a guy or have a crush on a guy and care more about him or the concept of him or the concept of falling in love. You don't want to care more about him or that idea more than you care about living your life for the Lord and how much you love God. You want Jesus to be the king of your heart. You want him to be the ultimate love of your life. You want to love him most and best and first. And so I was at this place in life where I was concerned because I was definitely falling in love with Paul. And I was like, God, am I idolizing Paul? Like, am I loving him too much? Do I care about this too much? Do I care about Paul more than I care about you? Because God, I want to care about you most. I want to love you best. I want to keep you, Jesus, as the king of my heart. And I was concerned about it. I was sitting in my bedroom, and I was sitting on my bed, and I was telling God all those things. And I was like, God, are you going to ask me to sacrifice my love for Paul like Abraham had to sacrifice Isaac in the book of Genesis? I was having all these kind of like anxious thoughts about it because I loved Paul, and I felt like God might ask me to like lay him down or something, you know, so to speak. And I had a vision. So here's what I saw. It was in my mind's eye. It was like when you remember a memory that happened a long time ago and you can see it. Like if you close your eyes, you can just kind of picture how it happened. And you see the events unfolding in your mind. Like think about prom. If you've been to prom, think back on prom and think about like what happened, in what order, what you were wearing, who you went with your friends, or maybe you went with a date, and like picture your dress and like picture like getting into the car or the, you know, and picture how it went. That's what it was like for me to have this vision. And I wasn't aware in real time that it was a vision until afterwards, like I said. So I'm sitting in my bed, I'm praying, and suddenly I see like this picture in my mind's eye where I see like my hands over my heart, and they're kind of clutched over my heart, and I can tell that I'm concerned. And then I see these fatherly hands come down from above. And I just kind of knew that those were supposed to be like God's hands. I was just like, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, oh, there's God's hands. And I saw my hands unclutch and put whatever I was grasping into those fatherly hands. And then those fatherly hands, he took what I was holding what I had been clutching that I had given to him, and he suddenly had one of my old childhood toys from when I was like 2, 3, 4 years old. It was this orange sand sieve. It was neon orange. It had the little sieve holes in the bottom so you could sieve out and have this really pure, fine sand and get rid of all the, like, you know, all the junk in the sand so you could have really pure sand to make a sand castle. And I saw that fatherly hand put what I had given him into that sand sieve and shake it. And my hands were open, like, you know, when you're like worshiping God, maybe in praise and worship, and you have your hands raised like this and you're singing to God. My hands were like this, and I was just kind of worshiping God, and my hands were open, and these little tiny like gemstones, like rubies and emeralds and like sapphires, they started falling back into my hands. And then I saw inside the sand sieve, and it was like little sticks and little rocks and little like bits of just like garbage, right? And I saw those fatherly hands pitch it over, like pitching it over a shoulder, but I didn't see the shoulder, just like throwing it away. And I saw my hands, and I was just looking at these gemstones, and I just like clutched them back to my heart. And then I felt like God was speaking to me. He was like, Anna, those are my hands. Anna, don't be concerned about what you're desiring, because you desire me. So if you will give me the desires of your heart, all of them, everything that you want, if you'll surrender to me and say, God, like you're doing, God, I want you. And I want to want what you want for my life. If you will give that to me, and that's your hands, I will sift your desires, and I will put those good desires back inside your heart, and I will throw away those bad desires that maybe came from just your human emotions or from outside forces, or maybe they're just, you know, not good things. They're not my best for your life. I will toss them away. I will throw them away, and you will be left with those purified desires, because Anna, you want to know me. You want me to be the king of your heart. So don't worry about it. Don't be concerned about it. I'm sifting your desires. And then I felt like God told me like a few days later, Anna, that was a vision. You didn't have to think that you were going to see this weird image outside your body, like this movie screen on the wall in your bedroom or at a revival service at your church or something like that, and that was going to be the vision. No, you just saw a picture with your mind's eye. And that's what it's like to have a vision. Don't be afraid to have a vision in the future. I feel like I've had probably less than 5 visions over the last 10 years since then, because I'm about to be 30 next month. And you know what? That proved to be absolutely true. When you see something, you do want to test it. You can give it the test of time. That vision proved true. I did not set up any weird, like Paul didn't become an idol in my life. I never started loving Paul more than I love God. I ended up marrying Paul, and now we have our baby daughter who was just born 2 months ago. We've been married for 4 years now as of February 22nd. And it had the test of time. That was definitely a vision from God. That vision stuck with me. I didn't forget it. It has stuck with me, and I have shared it with countless single girls and women about letting God sift the desires of your heart. It was backed up by scripture. Psalm 37:4. If you will delight yourself in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart. Sometimes we think that's like, gimme, whatever I want, Lord. But it can also mean, Lord, I want to desire what you want me to desire. And so it was backed up by scripture. So that's some of the ways that you can like definitely test and filter out what you're feeling like God's communicating with you. If you want to know more on this topic, on the homepage of my YouTube channel, if you just click Anna Willemstein and go to my YouTube channel homepage, there is a playlist about how to hear God speak to you, and there's 19 videos on that playlist. Back in 2014 when I first, or was it 20, it might have been 20, it was 2015 when I started my YouTube channel, and it's all about that topic. I talk about God speaking to you in visions and dreams, and just speaking to you personally, speaking to you through the Bible, troubleshooting if you missed God's voice. How do you handle that? Troubleshooting if you're just struggling with it and you're like, I don't feel like God does speak to me. What do I do in that scenario? What do I do with that kind of a situation in life? I have tons of videos on that topic, so check that out if you're more interested, or if you're interested to know more about that. And yeah, I hope this video really encouraged you and made things more clear for you. And like I said, don't forget to subscribe. I am kind of on like a maternity leave. I'm posting 1 video a week instead of 2 to 3 videos a week, because I'm just enjoying my time with my baby, and we have a lot of like things going on in our life here in Tennessee that we're getting ready for, some big life changes and stuff, which I'll share more later. But yeah, there's just a lot going on. So 1 video a week until probably about the end of March, maybe the middle of March, when she's 8 or 9 weeks old. And then I'll be back to a more robust video schedule. But thank you guys so much for your love and your support. And I do want to catch up on comments. Don't stop commenting, because I love hearing from you guys. It's very encouraging. And yeah, I'll see you next week with another video. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.